Hey everybody, welcome back to another video of my channel. My intention here is for the video to be informative and exciting about Morocco. And I recently went to Agadir, Morocco, and I wanted to let you know how it went. So first of all, let me just say that it was a siblings trip, so it was mostly adults. So I don't know how it would go with children. But there are a couple of good all-inclusive resorts there that I saw. So you know that that is my recommendation when traveling with especially small children. Because actually, as a parent, I get to have a vacation, but that was not this trip. So let's talk about Agadir, Morocco. My first impression upon coming to Agadir was actually, it reminded me a lot of Dominican Republic, believe it or not. I am very ignorant about North Africa because I've never visited, and also I don't know the history. But from my understanding, Morocco is actually a quite special place. It cannot quite get grouped with the rest of North Africa. And while there, I definitely felt this. There's also a lot of assumptions that go into going into Africa in general, and then like Middle East or Arabic countries. And I have to say that a lot of my pre-assumptions that I may even have had from like the news or television or preconceived notions of society actually went out the door once I got there. I went there with a very open mind and tried to learn as much as possible about the culture. The first day we got there was actually like tourist day in Agadir. And so that was really exciting because we got welcomed with a lot of music, with Moroccan tea and pastries at the airport. So that was like really, really nice. The airport was actually quite fast, and we had a quick walk through the airport and exited quite easily. So there was no problem there. Other countries like in Egypt, for example, I remember the lines were much worse, and we had to buy visas to go into other places, or we had to pay extra or something at the airport. And so this was not the case at Agadir. And Agadir is actually not a big town. It's actually a very small city because of the earthquake recently. I don't know what is the state of, for instance, Marrakesh, Casablanca, or Rabat. And also we did not visit these places in this trip. We stayed mostly in the Agadir area. I will also want to say that we went to Agadir with a local. So because we had a friend there, we had a local experience of Agadir, and we did not perhaps do all the tourist attractions that other people do. So I wanted to make sure I said that because it's important. We get like a different experience if you go with locals, right? So yeah, I think it's... Some of the places that we did visit in the few days that we were there from Wednesday through Saturday night, basically, I was actually really surprised about this, is that Agadir is actually a fantastic beach town. North of Agadir, there's plenty of places to surf. And we did take surfing lessons. It was my second time surfing. And I actually found that the surfing as a first person, like a person that is learning how to surf, is fantastic because the ocean is really strong. The waves are strong, but also they're medium size, and there was a lot of waves all the time. It's quite ventilated, so there's always wind coming from most of the time. There's this time where wind coming from the ocean, so there was like a lot of ways that you could practice on. You didn't have to like wait around to get waves, but there was also like the waves were actually quite like strong, and so you could actually have a little bit of fun with it. So I, as a first time surfer, I was like super excited. Outside of Agadir and the beach in Agadir, the surfing actually happened in a town called Tagazout. I'm sorry, my pronunciation is probably wrong, but it's like a little bit north of Agadir, and that is literally a surf town. The interesting thing about Tagazout and having like a non-tourist tourist experience is that there were like so many like mainstream cafes there, like where they sold like vegan food and avocado toast and lattes and that whole surfing vibe, but as well as like the local Moroccan surfing vibe. And we really try to stay away from like going to tourist places. So we really try to like eat like with the locals and Moroccan food the whole time. and we had a blast. But I have to say it was like pretty clashy to see it from my perspective. It felt a little bit like out of place. Like they wanted to create something where there was no need for it. Yeah, I did not love it, but I can understand why it's there. A lot of people may feel more comfortable with having like burgers and fries, I guess, over the amazing Moroccan cuisine. I don't know. Or like avocado toast. Yeah. I don't think there's that many like vegan and vegetarian options in Morocco, or true vegan options, I would say. Vegetarian, yes, unless you go to one of these places that really like caters to vegan and to other type of diets. Also, our vacation was quite sober, so we did not drink a lot of alcohol. It's in Arabic place, and so most places will not sell us alcohol. In this tourist town, on the other hand, they have a lot of bars and things like that that do sell alcohol. But we kept it quite sober because as we were going to more like local places, they do not drink alcohol in most places, and so that's I think another thing that to be aware of in terms of like being a woman in an Islamic country. I would say that I felt quite comfortable. I felt very comfortable in Agadir. Quite comfortable as like, yes, I felt comfortable in Agadir, even going around with shorts as a tourist. And people will tell me like, yeah, it's fine, don't worry about it. Probably because I am a tourist. Our friends who are women tend to cover a little bit more, but even them, they would go to the restaurants with their bathing suits and maybe like have something on their shoulders, but not too much. So it is quite a modern place, and I felt totally comfortable being a tourist and wearing what I wear as a tourist. Except, I did not enter a mosque, or I did not try to go to the more traditional places. And if I did try to have a meeting with somebody like in the places where I know they were more traditional, I did try to put like not too much, but like a t-shirt maybe, or shorts that are much like a little bit longer, things like that, just to be respectful of culture. But totally fine, fine. People are so nice, and everything felt quite nice. So that was a nice surprise. Agadir has actually one of the most amazing, like on in the city beaches I've ever seen. It's beautiful. It's clean. The ocean is amazing. Quite waves, so you gotta know how to swim. So there's a lot of waves, but it's beautiful. And it's right in the city, and it's just very very long. People play soccer on the beach. A lot of people playing soccer on the beach. A lot of guys playing soccer on the beach. Overall, it was like a really positive experience. One of my, I think my favorite, after the beach, my favorite experience, obviously going to Morocco, is going to the souk, which is the market. And if you know, you know, there's the tourist market and then there's the local market. We went to both, and it was like a different experience. Because in the tourist market it's super clean. There's so many amazing things to see. Obviously, it's like central to Agadir. There's like 4 or 5 entrances. Is big. We spent the whole morning walking around the souk, looking at fruits and vegetables, handcrafted leather items, purses, wood items, silver. It's beautiful, birds and obviously caged birds, but also like people. And from my understanding, it's not as aggressive as in Marrakesh. On the other hand, when we went to the locals market, it was a very much like real life Moroccan. The prices were much lower. We did go with locals, and it was not as clean, and it was more on the streets versus in a specific central place. And both experiences were amazing to me. I obviously like to see how like people actually live in places, and so that was like super nice to see that. And again, it reminded me so much of the Dominican Republic, where there's like markets for tourists and then markets for the locals. You do get a tourist tax always. So one of the best tips that I got for you when you try to go to Morocco to spend money, buy things, I would say always haggle. It is a practice, it is cultural to always haggle. If you're not comfortable with haggling, don't do it. It's okay. You can just pay your tourist tax and that's it. And it's not a real tax. It's what we call it when, like they up the price just because you're a tourist. Yeah, but otherwise, I would say be happy, smiley, offer them a good price, do it in good faith, and everything is going to go well. And you can get a really, really, really low prices for amazing items. So I highly recommend it. Another thing that I was also really, really happy about seeing in Agadir is the culture of Moroccan silver. I was never a huge fan of silver, but look at this. Look how amazing this is. This is real silver. This and my earrings. I'm a huge fan of silver now. I did not know this about myself. But yeah, silver is actually quite awesome. It can oxidate, so you may have to clean it, but most of the time it keeps extremely shiny and clean, and it doesn't do anything to my skin actually. It's quite neutral, and so I'm really happy with my Agadir shopping experience. Okay, so what do people actually eat in Morocco? So let me say first thing first that Moroccan food culture is a group culture. What does that mean? Well, while maybe in Western and Europe, you get your own plate and you're served your own meal, in Morocco, everybody eats from a central plate. And so, for example, tagines are the main meal there. And what is a tagine is a way to cook food in the specific pot. And they put like all of the ingredients of the tagine. It could be vegetarian tagine, it could be a meat tagine, it could be a fish tagine. And then with bread, you go from you have to keep your own side, and then you take the bread and you eat from the plate. They also do couscous, which is amazing and fantastic. And maybe you eat couscous with spoon or with your hands. And again, from your side of the plate, the central plate, you can eat as much as you want. And the culture is, I think, if people stop eating, you can also get their side of the food. I find this tradition of sharing a central plate quite fantastic. I loved it. It was very different, and also like it's cool because everybody's like sharing a meal. And my brother and I were talking about it, and he was saying that like, think about how you have to think about the other person when you're sharing the same plate. It's like really a group culture. You have to think that I cannot eat too much because I want my sister or my brother to eat. I'm not going to go put my fingers over there. I trust the people around my table to wash their hands and be clean, because otherwise we will all get sick. There's so much that goes on into eating from one plate that I think is actually quite beautiful when you can trust the rest of the people around you to do that. It was a challenge a little bit inside, but at the same time it was quite beautiful and quite a bonding moment overall. And then for breakfast, we also had eggs. And so similarly, they cooked us eggs with cumin on like a flat pan, and then put it in the center. And then we had bread. We also had this dessert that is like almond paste with either argan oil and honey and things like that. That is amazing. I suggest it. Highly recommend it. It's like the best thing. Last but not least, it is my favorite thing out of all, Moroccan tea. It's served everywhere. My favorite practice this vacation was to drink Moroccan tea at the beach. Where else are you able to do that? And while it's really hot at the beach, really hot tea actually helps you cool your temperature. And I thought it was a fantastic practice. I would want it everywhere I go, but I know it's only in Morocco. And the way they make tea is very specific. So I actually bought a pot of pots to make Moroccan tea, and I'm making it at home right now, and it's amazing. It's just, I love everything about Agadir. Everything. I think that's all. I just wanted to share a little bit about my trip to Agadir. I hope you like it and I hope you go visit because it's really an amazing place. See you next time.